Hey folks, and welcome back to West Yorkshire Retro Gamer. Prediction time again. EFL Championship. I've written down where I predicted the teams just one day before the season started. As of recording, most of the teams have played 4 games now, and most importantly, the window has shut. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, the team that I think will finish bottom, as things currently stand, is Cardiff. Awful start. Obviously been a real struggle for them. I had them predicted 17th at the start of the season. But no, as things stand, they're the worst team in the division, after 4 games, and awful. Not much more I can say on that. Cardiff fans, tell me what's going wrong. Put some comments in the comments area below, because I didn't have you kind of finishing this low at the moment, or previously, but no, bad start. Joining you as things stand. Preston, again, terrible start. All that rubbish that was going on in behind the scenes has caused them to have a terrible start. I really don't rate Heckingbottom. Some may do, and Preston fans might do, but you've got off to a terrible start, and I haven't seen anything yet to convince me that you're not going to get relegated. And I've always seen Preston as being a very championship type team, but you've shot yourselves in the foot. I had Preston, and here's the other thing. I had that much confidence in Preston at the very start of the season that I thought they were going to finish 6th. I think it's the biggest difference out of all of my predictions. So, by the end of this video, I think that's the biggest gap, biggest drop off. Sorry, Preston. Things might improve, but again, look at who you've got on your board. Ridsdale. Enough said. And joining Preston and Cardiff, I'm going to go for Swansea. Not a great start. I had them predicted 18th, but it's not been a great start for them. They are currently a bit higher than 22nd in the league currently, but I've looked at the squad. I don't see anything really standing out that kind of screams to me that they're going to do anything particularly good this season. Again, this is so early on, I could be proved wrong. These 3 teams could be further up the table, when we reach January and get to the end of the January transfer window, and I have to do another one of these prediction videos. So, panic not, Swansea, Preston and Cardiff. It's still very early on in the season. Anything can and probably will happen. Narrowly avoiding Plymouth Argyle, same reasoning that I gave when I originally predicted them to finish 20th, that they will get rid of Rooney because they'll be that bad, and they'll survive on by the skin of the teeth. The key factor for Plymouth is that they've kept Whittaker, who's a goal scorer, and that's the big thing for me. They've got a goal scorer in that team, if coached right. So there we go. So in 20th, I think it will be Sheffield Wednesday. I give them a prediction of 11th. This is a big drop down. Apart from about a 10-15 minute spell where Masaba looked decent against Leeds, they were bang average. Really bad. Didn't cause Leeds any problems at all after that first 15 minute spell. And they're on really poor form. So they're going to have to get their act together if they're going to get out of this mess. 19th, Millwall. I had them predicted 19th in the last video. Nothing really suggesting to me that that's going to change. Been a very indifferent start for them this season. The signings they brought in, nothing really screams to me, top half challenge at this moment in time. So, yep, there we go. 18th, Stoke. Stoke, always a difficult team to predict. I actually had them to go down in the last video. And I'm in 22nd. I'll prop them up a bit, put them in 18th. I don't think there's much more to say on it really. They've got off to a reasonable start. They're currently quite a bit higher than 18th at the minute, but I think it'll be a typical Stoke drop off. Going into 17th, QPR. They've started okay, but I think, unless they show dramatic improvement compared to Sheffield Wednesday, because these two teams are kind of compared to each other, very similar for both teams' heroics last season of getting out of the drop zone and getting themselves up the table. I don't think QPR will be in any kind of relegation difficulty this season. But having looked at the squad, and as I say, they're currently mid-table. They're doing all right. I think there might be a bit of a drop off, but I don't think it'll be so bad that they'll be under any threat of relegation. So for now, 17th could change. 16th. Bristol. Surprised me of how leaky the defence is, considering that they were very good defensively last season. I don't think the attacking options they've brought in are particularly spectacular. I predicted Bristol to finish 15th, and now I'm putting them down one in 16th, so nothing's really changing there too much anyway. In 15th, didn't see this happening. Derby County. Really didn't see this happening. As things stand at the moment, all three of the promoted teams have gotten off to probably a better start than anyone probably thought that they would ever do. I think that Derby will be. They'll be there or thereabouts in terms of mid-table positions. If they can continue the start they've had, there's no reason why not. Just keep grinding things out. You might lose a few games against some of the higher placed teams, but if you can keep going the way you have done, why not? So I've put you towards the top of the bottom half. In 14th, you're going to be joined by one of your one of your promotion buddies, Portsmouth. Not entirely sure how they got a draw against Leeds in the first game. If you take away the penalty, the XG for Portsmouth was very low. Just some defensive errors from Leeds that really gave Portsmouth a chance to get anything out of that match. And I think Portsmouth have started with 3 draws this season. Have they? Or 4 draws or something. They're very much in the middle. And I think that's where they'll finish. I think they'll finish in the middle. Or certainly towards it. And completing the bottom half, I think it will be the other one of your League One promotion buddies in Oxford United. What a start they've made. And again, I think it's partly down to a bit of that unknown quantity. Brand new team in terms of, Oxford haven't been in this division for a very, very long time. And yeah, why not? There's nothing to say that the bottom half won't be led by the 3 teams who came up, based on the starts you've made anyway. So yeah, and that's a massive increase in terms of the 3 teams who came up from League One. I had Oxford predicted 21st, Portsmouth predicted 19th, and Derby predicted 24th. And I'm now thinking 13th, 14th, and 15th. What a difference a good start to the season makes. So, into the top half now, 12th. Luton. Based on the start they've made this season, they could quite easily get relegated. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I have no idea how the heck Luton have gotten off to such a bad start. They have a reputation of being run really well. They've come down with pretty much a stronger squad than the one that they went up with before their relegation. And they've gotten off to an absolutely shocking start. They're currently in the relegation zone. I don't think they'll finish there, but I think the start they've made has really heavily dropped them down. I had them predicted to finish 2nd. So there's a lot of work to be done at Luton if they're going to get anywhere near 2nd. But bearing in mind, Middlesbrough last season started off horribly and got themselves, up towards the playoffs in the end. Didn't make it in the playoffs, but they got close. But yeah, I think the start of the season has really scuppered Luton's chances. As things stand anyway. Into 11th. Hull, don't know why. Hull were not particularly good against Leeds yesterday. That new number 9 they've got had a couple of decent attempts on goal, and Liam Miller does look a decent signing for them. I think he'll do all right for them. He got a couple of attempts off on goal yesterday, but yeah, and again, they've obviously got an owner who's willing to spend money, to try and get Hull promoted. So Walter will be well backed, but they've got a lot of gelling to do, and you can't be afforded any time in this division, not if your ambitions are top 6. So I think it'll be another disappointment for Hull, but plenty of time to turn it around. But they need to do better than what they did against Leeds. In 10th, I've got Norwich. They've made a decent start to the season. They're in the top half. New manager, again some new players. They've still got a couple of them cart horse defenders, which I think is going to be one of the main reasons they don't finish top 6. and they've lost a couple of key players, you know, with Rowe and Sarah leaving. So yeah, 10th for Norwich. Moving up in a 9th. What a start this team's made. Watford. I mean, in terms of transfers, they've brought in a couple of veterans that feel like they've been around forever. But you can't argue with the start they've made. They're in the top 6 after 4 games. Even if they lose today, I don't know what the result is that in terms of how the match is finished against Sheffield United. With the start they've made, there's obviously something going in the right direction there at Watford. So yeah, why not? Let's put them 9th. I originally had Watford to finish 16th in the last video. Norwich 9th, Hull 10th and Luton 2nd in the last video. So moving into 8th, this is really where you start getting to the teams that, you know, could they be looking, you know, could they have a realistic chance of the playoffs? I mean, who knows? But in 8th, and this is a shocker, Blackburn Rovers. They lost Smodics. I thought they were doomed. I had Blackburn in 23rd. So if we're talking about Preston being the biggest drop, you've got Blackburn being the biggest rise. I've got them finishing 8th at the minute. An incredible start, really. You know, I don't know of many people that would have had Blackburn. I mean, you know, they're currently in the playoffs. I don't think they'll sustain it. But you know, to improve as much as they have in a short space of time here, after losing their main attacking outlet, got to say fair play. So Blackburn 8th at the minute as things stand. 7th and just narrowly missing out on the playoffs. Middlesbrough. And you know, when I think about it, you know, they could still well get into the playoffs. But I think they might just fall short. Not by much, but as I say, they could well get into the top 6. They could well do. Couple of decent signings in the summer. Still got Lottie Lath that can score some goals. But I think they might just finish just a smidge out. So getting into the playoffs then. I did not think this was going to happen. Sunderland. How the heck have Sunderland made the start they've made? They're currently in 1st, and I just can't believe they made the start they have. Really can't. I have no idea. I looked at their squad. They don't really have that many experienced players in the squad. It's all young. Lebre's a new manager. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know how they've done it. I'm just looking now. I just looked at the table on my phone. They're absolutely, you know, they're on fire. I know it's only early days, but I mean, with that kind of start, you can't see them dropping any lower than another 6 places down, you know. So yeah, they're up there. I can't see them dropping any. I can't see them dropping out the playoffs, and they could still finish a bit higher than that. Have they got enough for top 2? I'm not so sure. But yeah, I think they'll be right back in it. they'll be right back in the mix. Fifth, Coventry. They've got off to a very slow start, but they traditionally get off to a slow start. I don't know what it is about Coventry, but they always get off to a slow start. They made a couple of good signings, as they always seem to. Still got Robbins as manager. Crazily experienced at this level now, isn't he? And you know, he's part of the Coventry furniture, isn't he, really? So I think Coventry they'll get their act together and they will rise. In the last prediction video, I had Middlesbrough finishing 8th, Sunderland finishing 13th, Coventry finishing 5th, which is where I still think they'll finish, despite a bit of an iffy start. And then moving into 4th, Sheffield United. They've made lots of signings. Wilder's there again, isn't he? So he a bit like Robbins at Coventry, Wilder's kind of part of the furniture at Sheffield United. And I had them predicted 7th, but they've made a good start, and yeah, I think they'll probably get in playoffs now. 3rd, Burnley. I had them 3rd before in the last video. I still have them 3rd now. Sheffield United, I had them 7th, as I mentioned. They've lost a lot of players. They've brought in some players to try and replace. They've got a manager who's had 2 promotions, albeit with parachute teams. But he still had to get the best out of them, or at least get enough out of them to get promotion. So I think Burnley will still be there or thereabouts. So they could still get 2nd, but I'm happy keeping them in 3rd, based on what I've seen so far. 2nd place, West Brom. They've got off to a very good start. They've still got Corberan, and as long as they've got Carlos Corberan, I mean, he'll always get something out of that West Bromwich Albion team. He'll always have the knack of doing it, won't he? So I really don't think there's any reason why they won't come 2nd as things stand. I think they might well be 2nd at the moment, if I remember. So why not? They were in the playoffs last year. When Leeds and West Brom played, it was a really drab game. Finished 0-0. Both teams were pretty poor, really. If truth be told. But again, it's West Brom. They've always been very defensively organised under Corberan, haven't they? And that's what they'll continue to be throughout the season. I'm very sure of that. So that then just leaves the final team now. You'll all call me biased because I am a Leeds fan, and after the first two games, I was strongly wondering as to whether Leeds would be able to push for a top 2 finish. But the last 2 games against Sheffield Wednesday and Hull have been so convincing. I know that both wins were only 2-0 each, but I mean, really, really dominant in so much possession, the passing, some of the moves that Leeds have been doing in the matches, from an attacking point of view, have been excellent. You can tell there's some good stuff going on there, and when it comes to a defensive standpoint, after that first game, we've kept 3 clean sheets. So it looks as if we have tightened the defence up. We've conceded 3 against Portsmouth, despite if you take the penalty out of the way that the XG was really low for Portsmouth. Yeah, we've really tightened things up. We've made some good signings, or what signings that look good on paper at least. But as we know, football isn't played on paper, it's played on the grass. So still a lot of work to do. Do I think that things could change between now and in several games' time? Yeah, definitely. Just because I've predicted everyone in these positions now doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it's going to finish. But it's where I think it might. It's where I think they might. I've got a couple of shockers in there. There's been a couple of really big movements in terms of where I thought they were going to finish. Before the season started. And this is where it's at. But I will do another prediction video once the January transfer window shuts. And dependent on how things look, I might do one final one with 6 games to go, so after 40 games have been played. I'm going to be uploading a video talking about Leeds United and the transfer window, how it's affected them and what their squad looks like now, so keep an eye out for that one if you're interested in that. If you're more of a generic Championship fan, then please leave your comments down below. Let me know if you think I've placed your team too high, if you think I've placed your team too low, if you think I've placed your team about right. Are you surprised by your team's start? Are you pleased with your team's start? Are you disappointed with your team's start? I want to know it. I want to hear it from you guys and girls, the fans of your clubs. So do please put your comments down below. Let me know how your team's gotten on so far. As I say, we're only about 4 games into the season. That's another 42 to play. I mean, Jesus. Anything could happen, couldn't it, right now? As things stand according to the official table, Luton Town could get a double relegation here if they don't get their act together. Yeah, it could happen. We could have a season where all 3 promoted teams from League One actually stay up. Again, there's no reason why not, according to the official table. And again, there's a lot of your regular teams that you would expect to be in that top 6 that I've kind of put there. But again, the current table has Blackburn and Watford in the top 6. So this really says a lot, and this season is quite wide open. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see where everyone is come January. Such a lot of football still to be played, isn't there? These predictions now could be so lacking accuracy, by then. And can Blackburn and Watford sustain the starts that they've made? Could they actually genuinely be playoff contenders? Can Sunderland sustain a top 2? If Sunderland is still in the top 2 and Blackburn and Watford are both still in the playoffs come January, all of a sudden then those 3 have to be taken seriously. Because they will have sustained half a season's worth of football, in those top positions. So who knows? That's what we're going to find out. So a big thank you for all the support as always. Do please give the video a like, and do please subscribe to the channel. There'll be more football content, there'll be more video game content coming your way, so do please stick around for that if that's what you're into. And let's see what the football brings. We've got this horrible international break coming up soon, and I can't stand international breaks, but there we go. So in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. see you in the next one. Bye bye.